Assalamu alaikum. My name is Amna Omer. I am currently 15 years old and I am a student at Learning Alliance. I have been exposed to a culture of victim blaming. Especially from a Desi background, it is normally their first instinct to immediately blame the victim and to think that it is their fault. Victim blaming is constantly all around us. You just need to look. Victim blaming normally looks like someone saying, but what were they doing out so late? What were they wearing? It is this type of mindset that allows abusers to get away with cruel and vile acts while victims are questioned and berated with their role in their sexual assault in court. Despite years of riots and protests, it is frustrating and frankly quite disturbing to see that we have gotten nowhere. And in spite of the amount of stories and headlines and news stories that you watch on TV, abusers are still not being held accountable for their actions. And it is precisely why one day, even if I can make the smallest change, I want to by studying law in the future. Victim blaming is a cycle. It is infinite and it will not stop until you allow it to stop. Normally, first, the devaluing act will occur. And if the victim comes forward where there is a big emphasis on if because of the cycle, and multiple studies show that out of every 1,000 sexual assault cases, only 300 will actually report it. And out of those 300, only 20 or so will actually be imprisoned. I personally believe that it is because of this cycle that this injustice occurs. If, moving on to the cycle again, if a victim comes forward with their story and reports it, normally they will be berated and they will be questioned, like I said, while the abuser gets to live their life free without any accountability and with no blood on their hands. And so hence, people fear that they will be blamed in the future if they report stories. And so it is extremely scary to think that there might be abusers living among you that just haven't been held accountable. There are many causes and tendencies humans tend to have that cause them to victim blame in the very first place. There is a phenomenon that's called hindsight bias, and it says that when we look at an event that has already occurred in the past, we think that had we been in that situation, we could have been able to prevent it. It's like watching a horror movie and saying, oh, I wouldn't have died because I would have ran faster. But in this situation, it's saying, I wouldn't have gotten sexually assaulted because I would have closed my legs. Now, there's another phenomenon that social scientists call the just world theory, which stems from the belief that some humans tend to think that the world is a just, fair, and peaceful place. And so everything that occurs is just good karma or bad karma. And if you are sexually assaulted, it is your fault. Now, there is a case in Indonesia that I specifically want to talk about. When I tell anyone this, they are actually baffled by it. There was a woman who was a 41-year-old school administrator, and when she recorded her school principal's sexually suggestive phone calls, she was fined with $35,000 and she was sentenced with 6 months in jail, while no one questioned why someone was sending sexually suggestive phone calls, and no one questioned why someone in power was abusing it. Now, if there is one thing and one message that I want anyone and everyone to take from this, is that change will not come unless you allow it to come. Unless you allow it to be known that it is not okay to blame a victim, you cannot expect changes to come even within the legal system. Victim blaming is constantly happening around you, and though these small words may not be that big, they hold immense power, and you must make it known that it is never okay to blame a victim for what happened to them, because at the end of the day, that's all they are, victims. So you need to start holding abusers just accountable. Whenever you hear someone victim blame, you need to make it known that it is not okay. And the worst thing that could ever happen is becoming desensitized to victim blaming and making it so normalized in our society that you don't even say a word. So if you ever hear someone ever victim blame, please make it known that it is not okay and that it is never the victim's fault.